Welcome to Real Classic Film Reviews and welcome to a classic movie review of Blue Thunder, 1983's helicopter techno thriller starring Roy Scheider, Malcolm McDowell and Warren Oates. Directed by John Badham, this sees Scheider's seasoned pilot working for the LA Police Department's helicopter division test an experimental vehicle and in the process begin to realise the helicopter's been designed for some sinister purposes. Now, Blue Thunder is rightly famed for its aerial action, which even today seesaws between looking super cool and irresponsibly dangerous. Now, it's a movie that taps into anxieties about surveillance, the militarisation of policing and the theft of civil liberties, but it also has mind-boggling practical stunt work and Roy Scheider in one of his most iconic post-Jaws roles. Let's take a look. So it's funny because when I first watched Blue Thunder, either on late night TV, but most probably on a VHS rental, I'll have enjoyed it as another slice of great 1980s action cinema, kick-ass aerial sequences and cutting-edge technology, etc. But I'm sure I won't have appreciated the fact that it was also a surprising political thriller. No, really. Blue Thunder combines all the firepower of militaristic spectacle, but also comes complete with themes of surveillance, government overreach, and that thin line between defence and oppression, with helicopters fighting each other. So Blue Thunder follows Frank Murphy, played by Roy Scheider, a Vietnam veteran who's still suffering from the after effects of war, as we'll see in some flashbacks sprinkled throughout that will slowly reveal a neat little plot twist. Anyway, he's a rough and ready, no-nonsense cop of the sky who frequently butts heads with his gruff commanding officer, played here by Warren Oates in his last film, I think.
They do not like the idea of helicopters flying over their homes, peeking in their windows.
Anyway, he gets saddled with a new young partner, Richard Lyman-Good, played by a very young Daniel Stern, and these guys will end up assigned to test fly a top-secret prototype helicopter codenamed Blue Thunder, equipped with state-of-the-art surveillance equipment, infrared cameras, untraceable microphones, and of course, a crazy array of weaponry. Blue Thunder is being sold to the LAPD as a crime-fighting marvel, but it quickly becomes clear that the true intentions behind the helicopter's development are far more sinister and tied to some shady government types and Malcolm McDowell's rival pilot, a guy from Murphy's military past. Now, as Murphy digs deeper, he uncovers a covert plan dubbed Thor to use Blue Thunder not just for fighting crime, but for domestic surveillance and quelling dissent in inner city neighbourhoods. Now, what all this leads to is a tense cat and mouse game in the skies above Los Angeles and ultimately culminating in a spectacular aerial showdown. Now, Blue Thunder inspired an 11-episode TV series of the same name in 1984 starring Dana Carvey, and of course inspired Airwolf starring Jan Michael Vincent and Ernest Borgnine, and of course the 80s also gave us other vehicular based properties such as Knight Rider and Street Hawk, all variations on a theme. Blue Thunder, though, is mostly remembered for its action sequences and the cool design of the helicopter at its centre, but the film's also a cop movie, a murder mystery and a paranoid political thriller, of course coming in the early years of the Reagan administration, the height of the Cold War paranoia and the aftermath of urban race riots. It has that military industrial complex going into business with the police force that would also be used in RoboCop a few years later. Here the helicopter is described as a flying weapon looking for a war, a tool to be used on anyone the government thinks is a threat to public order, whether that be everyday criminals or political protesters, etc, etc. Now, of course, the helicopter is the star of the show here, that's just a fact. But if there's a runner-up, it's, of course, Roy Scheider's Murphy. Now, Scheider was on a hell of a run here. Jaws, Marathon Man, Sorcerer, all that jazz. And he does bring that grizzled screen presence, and he has some good chemistry with Daniel Stern and his on-again, off-again girlfriend, Kate, played by Candy Clark. It's a shame he doesn't get a few more scenes butting heads with his nemesis, Cochrane, played by a snarling Malcolm McDowell.
We'll have a little game. Follow my leader.
Follow my leader.
Catch you later.
Catch you later.
Now, what we're really here for is helicopter action, so let's start messing about. From a technical perspective, Blue Thunder was ahead of its time. The helicopter itself, specifically designed for the film, is a bit of a Frankenstein's monster of aviation technology, modelled after an Aerospatiale Gazelle, but fitted with menacing black panels, oversized rotors, and of course a mounted minigun slaved to the pilot's helmet. It walks that fine line between looking both futuristic and credible. And the aerial photography here is still spectacular today, mostly because you can't imagine any health and safety department allowing it these days, especially in the wake of that same year's tragic incident on the set of The Twilight Zone involving a horrific helicopter stunt gone wrong. Look it up, it's not for the faint of heart. Now, the film's final act, featuring a low altitude helicopter chase through downtown Los Angeles, sees helicopters literally feet away from people and traffic, and remains, I think, a high watermark of practical effects and stunt flying. I mean, these days we'd get some zippier shots and some more dizzying camera angles, probably, but there is a physicality to the action here that CGI heavy modern movies often lack. So, director John Badham, who famously made Saturday Night Fever, but who would go on to shoot War Games and Short Circuit, keeps everything moving at a pretty brisk pace. And he has some toys at his disposal too: night vision, first person targeting systems, and cross-cut editing to immerse viewers in the cockpit, and does make you believe that Scheider and co are actually piloting these choppers. Although it wasn't a massive critical hit at the time of its release, and maybe still isn't, it was a moderate commercial success, and of course quickly gained a cult following, becoming a VHS classic. Now, of course, in today's world where facial recognition, mass surveillance, and militarized police forces aren't really science fiction anymore, but day-to-day life, Blue Thunder feels maybe not current, but certainly ahead of its time. And it's more than just a slick 1980s action flick, bolstered by strong performances, expert direction, and thrilling practical effects. It manages to be both entertaining and cautionary, but entertaining mostly, I like to think. I'm sure that the 8 or 9 year old me was far too busy flying toy helicopters around imaginary cityscapes to worry about the dangers of police state control and high-tech surveillance, just missiles and loop-the-loops and miniguns. Go check it out.